the last video for today, for now at least. Now this video is going to be about, because I saw a video, a Matt Walsh video, right? That's Discord in the background. I saw a Matt Walsh video, right? And one of his older videos too. So one of his older videos, he was talking about religion, why you should not use religion in why you should not use religion to convince people of pro-life or transgenderism. I'm not talking about religion itself, but I'm talking about like Phil Bros. Like, why do Phil Bros think? And I did this in a previous video like months ago. So Phil Bros. So there's two definitions of Phil Bros, right? The one definition is the definition that everybody adheres to, or most people know. A Phil Bro in the first context is a person who doesn't actually know philosophy. They pretend they do. They just sound intellectually intelligent, right? But if you were to ask them how they explain, like, can you explain what you mean by these words? They actually don't know themselves, because they just use words that they don't know. That's the point. That's a Phil Bro in the main context that it's used. Now, the Phil Bro example that I know, and what people on TikTok refer to, is a person who just debates for the sake of debating. They don't really care about the issue. Right?
We lost that round. Prepare for the next one.
Now, this is very, very common. And there's a lot of them. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because Matt made a very good point. Now, I don't agree with everything that Matt Walsh says, but he makes some good points. So Matt said, right,
Secure our objectives.
that a person who does that, like, for example, if you're trying to convince people of your view, you gotta speak in a language that they understand. And it's kind of like people who are apologists, like Christian apologists, right? Who are they trying to convince, right? So, if you're like a doctor, and you're explaining something, like if you actually see on YouTube, like you actually watch YouTube, there's a lot of doctors and there's a lot of lawyers, right? Like, Law by Mike. He's a lawyer. He will articulate what these laws mean in very simple terms that the average person can understand. Very simple. Same thing with doctors. They explain their point in ways that you can understand. But Phil Bros on TikTok, there's a lot of them. I'm not questioning their credentials. They know what they're talking about. But the people who are pro-choice, right? They're a very particular group of people, right? And notice, I remember Jack, because I saw him. I wasn't on panel. I saw his live. He said people who do that. I think he'd be sent to a pro-lifer, for example. But he put it out great, right? People who know a lot about philosophy are basically like intellectual PDF files, right? Pedophiles, right? And let me explain. Look, I know I said this before, abortion is an inherently philosophical concept, a philosophical debate. You have to use philosophy. It's one of the most debated topics in all of human history. It's been debated for thousands of years. It is inherently philosophical, right? Normative ethics is philosophical. Pragmatic ethics is philosophical, right? These are philosophical concepts. But he pointed out great that these people pick on people who are not very knowledgeable on philosophy. They make them look dumb. It makes their day. They post it on YouTube. They get clips, and that's how they get their kicks, right? Now, one point you could say, well, people should be educated on these philosophical things. That's true. But these extremely complex words. I know what parsimonious means. or I can define it my way, but other people don't.
Around the objectives.
If people don't know these things, then if they ask, tell them. Because a lot of people say, oh, you don't know that? Oh, you're low tier, you're stupid, you're dumb. Because these people, that's the thing. Like a pro-choicer,
Strike near your location.
if like those Phil bros, right? I mean, if you hang out with those people, they're your friends probably. But let's be honest. Do you think they've actually convinced anybody to be pro-choice? Maybe some, because of their arguments. But no, not really. Most of them, not really. Because as I said before, they have no interest in convincing people. At all. They have no interest. What they do is they have these tier makers, as I said. I explained this in a different video. I'll be happy to explain it again. They have these tier makers. They dunk on people who don't know as much as them. It makes them look stupid. It's an ego boost because they don't care about the issue. What they do is they make people look dumb. They show it to their friends. Their friends circle jerk each other, and that's how they get their kicks. They debate for the sake of debating, not that they care about the issue. Right? Lucario is an example of this. Lucario was pro-life. He got bored. Then he's pro-choice. He said this on my panel.
30 seconds left.
He and these other people don't care about the issue at all. It doesn't bother them
Alpha.
because they have no stake in it. Well, actually, okay, they actually do, because if they did get pregnant, they probably would get abortions, right? They do have a stake in it, actually. But these people, they circle jerk each other. That's why they have tier makers. That's why they do these kinds of things.
Switching sides.
They have no interest in changing your mind, having their mind changed. What they do is just, okay, I just want to improve my intellectual prowess, which is not a bad thing. I think you should get smarter. That's not a bad thing. But you clearly don't do this as if like, oh, I want to teach people something. No, not really. They don't. I just want to make you look dumb. I want to circle jerk to my friends. My friends can circle jerk to me. Like, you have no interest in changing people's minds. That's the problem.
Flanking here.
Finish the mission.
That's the problem. I couldn't sprint. That's why, again, I can make like 15 different versions of this. I couldn't sprint. But these people, right, are so disingenuous. They're not actually engaged in a good conversation. You know, when they speak in a different language, it's like philosophy, right? They're speaking in very huge philosophical terms that the average person doesn't know. Who are you trying to convince and who are you trying to impress, right? Again, if I'm a doctor and I'm in a classroom full of people who are not into medicine, I'm not going to use big words that nobody knows unless you're in that field. Same thing of coding. If you're not into coding, I'm not going to use these words if you're not in that industry. Or really any industry. I'm going to assume you don't know these things. Because again, for the 18,000th time, they have no interest in changing people's minds. That's the whole point. Phil Bros, as I said in a previous video, they're one of two main people who you'll encounter on TikTok. The average pro-choicer and the Phil Bros. The Phil Bros who debate because it's fun. It's like video games, how I'm playing right now. This is a hobby that they like. They like debating people. They like making people look dumb. Like, do you think you look good? It's like me, a person who plays basketball, and I'm just wrecking people who have never heard of basketball, never seen it, never played it before. Is that really impressive? No. If you want to debate, why don't you debate other people on your caliber on like other platforms, right? How about do that? Do formal debates. No, they do this because it's easy pickings. They like it. It's a fetish. And it's really annoying. I don't think they've convinced really anybody. Maybe some people, but nobody is really going to be convinced of this strategy. There are strategies that should be used and avoided. And speaking in words that nobody outside of philosophy understands is not going to convince anybody